It's one of the first new ideas to be released on next-gen consoles, and this time Ubisoft is taking their tried-and-true open-world formula and adding a dash of fictional magic to the equation. Hello friends, it's Kodiak here, and welcome to Legacy Gaming. This is the Road to Launch Part 1 for Immortals Fenyx Rising. Right when you thought Ubisoft was done making new open-world games, they surprised us all with Immortals Fenyx Rising, a brand new IP that looks to challenge Nintendo's title for family-friendly adventure games. While Immortals isn't Zelda, there's no doubt the game is inspired by the series, and that all starts with the world. Immortals takes place on the Golden Isles, a fictional place that taps into the more glamorous side of Greek mythology. Unlike Assassin's Creed Odyssey that blurs the line between fact and fiction, Immortals takes the best ideas from Greek mythos and amplifies them tenfold. At first glance, it's impossible to miss the game's distinct art style. Popularized by Breath of the Wild and adopted by games like Genshin Impact, this loosely falls into the cel-shaded category, and while we can argue all day the specific label, there's no doubt this is becoming a popular style, one we've seen in indie and AAA games alike. The Golden Isles are broken into a variety of regions, and most are influenced by a specific Greek god. Each of these areas has a distinct look and feel, and as I mentioned, because of the more fictional nature of the game, the developers are able to push their artistic ideas much further than ever before. The world itself is big, but doesn't rival the expansiveness of an Assassin's Creed game. While maybe not the masters of open world titles, Ubisoft is easily the most familiar with the genre, and it's clear while the world is large, Fenyx's ability to glide around the map keeps things in perspective. While not giving players the ability to outright fly, gliding does make the world feel smaller, but in this case, that's not a bad thing. You'll need its ability to scout out each of the various regions, and at the start, everything is covered in some sort of fog of war, but once you climb the area's statue, depicting the god it's designed after, you'll be able to see the layout of that specific land. One thing you'll notice is that each region of the map has a distinct theme, and that really plays to the overall design of an area. The first zone, or tutorial zone, the Clashing Rocks, is inspired by Hermes, and that's where our adventure begins. As we'll discuss later, this is where the story of Immortals Fenyx Rising really steps off. In the struggle between the gods and the Titan Typhon, the Clashing Rocks was the last stand, and you'll notice the remains of an epic battle as you learn the basics of the game. Shipwrecks scattered along the coast, crumbling ruins, and shattered statues all point towards a conflict, and it's here where we get our first taste of the Golden Isles. Things take a drastic turn as we begin exploring the other locations on the isle. As I mentioned, each region is inspired by a different god or goddess, and we see that almost immediately upon entering a new zone. The Valley of Eternal Springs, inspired by Aphrodite, is lush and vibrant, with rolling hills, grand mesas, and filled with plants and animals. Water and life are central themes for this region, and almost everything is reflected with those ideas in mind. As you would imagine, Ares, the god of war, is the inspiration behind the War Den region of the Golden Isles, and let's just say this isn't the most inviting place. The entire region is one gigantic battlefield with a constant heavy fog and scorched earth to remind you of the horrors of war. This region also features defeated titans that have been frozen in time. It's a foreboding place, and to cap it all off is Ares' fortress, which is just as massive and terrifying as you'd imagine. The next region, the Grove of Kleos, is inspired by the goddess of wisdom herself, Athena. To differentiate this region with Aphrodite, the Ubisoft team really taps into the spirit of Greek architecture. Palaces, temples, columns, they're used liberally to remind us that this is a Greek-inspired game. There's also a lot of verticality in this region that makes it stand out from the others. It's the closest we'll see to an Assassin's Creed Odyssey-style environment, but still manages to find its own identity within the game. Now this next region is easily my favorite, and it pays homage to Hephaestus, the god of fire and forging. Imagine a Greek-themed steampunk world, and that's kind of what we're working with here. The colors are all very warm, yellows, oranges, and reds, and overall things look just a bit more mechanical, and that makes sense since the main enemies you'll be fighting here are these massive metal constructs. The Forgelands feeds the massive forge that make up big parts of the region. Trees have been stripped, and everywhere you look, resources have been collected to power these massive machines. It's an amazing area of the Golden Isles, and like I said, easily my favorite. Of course, we couldn't also forget about our favorite Greek god Zeus, who has his own region in the game, King's Peak. Now, we don't know much about this region. Ubisoft always keeps a few things under wraps before launch, but we do know that this area of the map is largely covered in snow and is more of a mountainous area of the Golden Isles. We know Zeus and Prometheus, the two narrators driving the game forward, are talking on a mountain, so it makes sense that this would be part of the King's Peak. What's interesting to me is that this region is much darker than I would have anticipated. As the king of the Olympian gods, I would have expected something more resplendent and kingly, but from everything we've seen, this region is much more foreboding. This is by far the region I'm most excited to explore, and can't wait to see how they make King's Peak stand out from the rest of the regions. Finally, smack dab in the middle of the Golden Isles, we have the Gates of Tarterus. All roads lead to this smaller area of the map where the Titan Typhon resides. As we've seen from various trailers and screenshots, this is the most corrupt region of the Golden Isles and features a massive volcano as the centerpiece. In Greek mythology, the Gates of Tartarus represent the doorway from the overworld to the underworld, and it's a fitting location for some of the more climactic battles. No matter where you are on the Golden Isles, you'll almost always be able to see this location. No doubt this is where the conclusion of our story will take place, with us fighting Typhon, but that is a discussion for later. Throughout the various gameplay demos and content creator previews, we've also seen snippets of other regions not exclusively part of the Golden Isles, specifically in the form of vaults. These vaults transform Fenyx into another dimension and blur the line, combining Greek ideas with a futuristic twist. This is just one example of a way the Ubisoft team is expanding the world beyond the Golden Isles, and it's good to know because it means they're willing to get a little creative to expand the universe. With a new IP, you never know where things are going to go. For instance, at this point we know that an Assassin's Creed game is going to get multiple DLCs that will expand the existing world of that particular game. But for something like Fenyx Rising, it's harder to tell. At this point, there's not much we can do but wait and wonder what else there'll be to explore. With another open-world adventure right in front of us, it's nice to see some of the changes the Ubisoft team is taking to make this feel like a unique experience. I'm excited to check out this fantasy world, and I have a good feeling each of the regions will present us with a number of exciting and unexpected moments. We hope you enjoyed our first Road to Launch video for Immortals Fenyx Rising. In our next episode, we'll be covering the story and characters we'll meet during our adventures. Legacy Gaming plans on covering Immortals Fenyx Rising top to bottom, so if you like our videos and want more great content in your feed, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, consider joining us on Discord. We have over 6,000 members spread across dozens of great games, so click that link below and join today. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.